well, pondering over the weekend, I was watching a lot of baseball. That's the season right now. And one of the questions that kept coming to mind, I just couldn't help it. It was impossible not to be thinking about it. But how come Major League Baseball players spit so much? Now, I was surprised, when you ponder these things long enough, you got to look it up a little bit and start to get some background. But as you're going to find out here, there's a lot of people who are pondering this question as well, But I kind of looked things up a little bit, and what I did, I found an on-site source that seemed to be pretty good. They were deep into this stuff. And it's called Intelligence for Your Life. And basically, I'm going to read a few things on here, and I'll bounce back and forth between my thoughts and.
All right. Well, just so you know, as you're saying that, the visual going through my head is from the movie The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen. Remember, there was a scene towards the end where he became an umpire, and they had the baseball scene with the Angels. I think they were playing the Mariners. And every time they go to the dugout, they literally had just a non-stop spitting scene back and forth. That's all people are doing is spitting back and forth. So
he played it up very well. That's right.
All right.
Okay, so let me read a little bit about this, and as I said, I'll jump in and out here. So if you've been watching the Major League Baseball playoffs at this time, this is where this organization is picked up. You may have noticed something kind of gross. Players have lots of saliva, and they're not shy about expectorating. It seems that whenever the camera lingers on a dugout or focuses on a player, the player is spitting seeds, water, or some other unidentified substance. It's an odd thing to witness, especially considering that athletes in other sports don't make a habit of hawking loogies. My kind of people.
There you go.
In fact, it's becoming so prominent that Yahoo is seeing an increase in searches for, quote, why do baseball players spit, unquote. The answer here, and this is what they try to do, they try to come up with some theories, and they've come up with 4 theories. The first theory is theory 1. It's tradition. It's tradition to spit in baseball. Now, that might on the surface seem pretty good, but until you get into it a little bit, all right? Several bloggers believe that spitting may be the holdover from the days when players chewed tobacco. When chewing tobacco, players can't swallow, so they had to spit it out. Now, that's a simple answer that probably 99%, including me, when I thought about it, that's what I would think. It's a tradition. So I dug a little deeper. I mean, these ponderings really have to try to come to some conclusion, or else it just it keeps you awake at night. You wake up at 3 in the morning thinking, what's the answer here? So what's tradition? What is a tradition? Well, there's a fancy definition for it, an inherited, established, or customary pattern of thought, action, or behavior. And things like religious practice or social customs would entitle, or not entitle, but embody what tradition is. But what about some sports traditions? Can you think of sports traditions that are a little bit different than spitting? And I'm going back to this theory 1 that he's talking about. It's a tradition. So spitting versus other traditions in sports, like the 7th inning stretch,
All right.
like Ohio State dotting the I and with their band, like the Green Jackets at the Masters golf tournament, college homecomings. You can go on and on and on. Now, those are more traditional traditions, if I can use those words.
And probably less disgusting to most people, right?
That's right. So that's theory 1, and I can't say that I agree with theory 1. I don't think that's a good theory. How can spitting be a tradition?
I don't know. As you're talking about this, my 13-year-old son plays baseball, and he spits a lot too. And I find him even doing it when he's not playing baseball. I have to ask him, when I see him tonight, see what his theory is on that.
Well, I spit too when I play baseball, so it's something we do. But I never thought about it as a tradition. Thought it's something you do. But I'll get into theory 2. Players are bored or nervous, and I don't agree with this one either. I do agree with one of these traditions, which I haven't got to yet. But there's a lot of downtime in an average baseball game. So during an average game, the ball actually is in play only for a matter of minutes. Could it be that players spit as a way of calming their nerves? I don't like that one either. Theory 2 doesn't fly.
That sounds like that came from a dental student or something like that.
That's probably right. That's
okay.
right. Okay, the third theory is anything goes outdoors. The Oakland Tribune speculates that some players might spit because they're outdoors. Now, if that's true, why don't tennis players and football players spit more? The author goes on to write about maybe spitting as a way for players to show contempt for some of the rules of the game. Now, keep in mind what I'm reading here. This is from an organization that's studying deeply why players in baseball spit.
Hey, is this a government-funded organization, Jack?
I'll bet you it is.
All right.
I
I'll have to
would
investigate
not
that a
doubt
little
it.
bit too. All right.
Okay, theory 4, and this is the one I kind of embrace too. Baseball players spit because that's what baseball players do. Okay, one blogger wonders if perhaps spitting is something that's passed down from one generation of players to the next, sort of like how football players pat each other on the rear. Nobody knows why they do it, they just do it. Now that to me is the right answer for why Major League Baseball players spit.
Wait a minute, you've come full circle in my mind. You start with tradition, so there's not a kind of tradition. I mean, if that's what they do. No, that's different.
That's a tradition. Sports traditions. Traditions are a classier word. Spit doesn't quite seem to.
No, it wasn't spitting.
Wait.
No, you used a fancy word. Was it expectorating or something like that? Or whatever?
No, that was a fancy word.
Okay, all right.
But does spitting, a tradition of spitting, does that compare to the tradition of the green jacket in the Masters golf tournament? Now that's a tradition. So walking around seeing Jose Ramirez spit 14 times, God knows what he's spitting while he's waiting to go up to bat. Is that the same as Jack Nicklaus taking on the green jacket from whoever won it last year?